How's it going, everybody? My name is Ezlerh, and this is a new show that we're trying up. This is with the Art Council, so we're gonna do a lot of artsy stuff. And today we have the very artsy people, I have to say, with us. We have Shanta Lee, we have LaVorgna, we have Wyatt Andrews. All of them pretty good artists, and they do a lot of cool things. So I want to talk to you, Shanta, first. You are now the president of the Art Council, is that right?
Yes, I'm the president of the Arts Council of Windham County. That just happened as of late October. So along with my many other professional and artistic hats, that's a new duty I just took on.
Congratulations, that's
Thank
awesome.
you.
So what are your duties now? What do you do now?
So basically, Michael and I was a trustee serving on the Arts Council for about a year before taking that role. So my goal and our goal as it remains is to create an environment for artists to thrive in Windham County.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other than doing those kind of stuff, is there any other arts projects that you're working on?
Oh, there's all sorts of stuff.
Shouldn't have asked that
I
question.
know. I have a couple of more than a couple of long-term photography projects that I'm working on. LaVorgna and I have worked on Perfect Imperfection, as many people may know. I am also partnered up with another photographer in the area, Ian McBain, and we're working on a piece that combines surrealism, deals with the theme of death
Whoa.
in various senses. So we started shooting that a couple of months ago, and that's probably, we're gonna keep shooting throughout 2016 and see where that goes. I also launched a website over the summer called wildlycreative.world, which features creatives from all over the globe, basically, and all the different ways in which people are inspired, in which they create, and the goal of that is to inspire creativity. So that's just a snapshot of some of the things I'm doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, Liz, yes,
Yes.
I was aware of that Perfect Imperfection, but now you have a new, with Wyatt, right? That new gallery that's opening on tomorrow, right?
Yes, yes.
Would you like to talk a little bit more about it? I have to say, I was part of it, but I don't want to talk about it. You should talk about it.
Okay. Yes, our project is called Coffee and Conversation, Stories of Homelessness. And its opening night is tomorrow night, Saturday, December 5th, from 7 to 10 p.m. And, it's been a really great project. I have made a lot of connections with people, and people in the photographs have made lasting connections as well. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful ride. I don't know if Wyatt wants to say something too. I know that you're kind of calling the shots here, but yeah, I mean, it's just really been amazing. Basically, the photographs we paired up two sets of people. People who have stable housing and people who are or have been recently homeless. And we have a total of 10 photographs in the exhibit. It's already gotten great reviews because it's been up for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the photographs, we have a community art wall, which we've had an overwhelming response to that. We have about 30 pieces on the wall right now, and some are still coming in.
Oh, wow.
So that's great. And the proceeds from sale of the art will go back to the drop-in center. It's earmarked for people
Where is
there.
this wall at?
It's
Is that
at the exhibit.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's at the exhibit. It's at the Rivergarden.
The Rivergarden.
Yeah. One wall has the photographs that I took, and then the other wall is the community art wall.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
awesome.
kind of like a collage of different artists. It's really amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I love the concept of it all. It's really, I think it's a marginalized community that rarely do we talk about it. Now it's why it was recorded. Is that going to be up or
Yeah, so we're the exhibit is actually not just photographs. I've been saying that it's describing it as mixed digital media. We shot a video with actually Lawrence, who was one of the first people that sort of inspired he was one of the inspirations for the whole project. So the first The first conversation that we had that Liz took photos of, I also filmed, and it was really nice. It was beautiful. It was in a cemetery. I was able to shoot video of the whole thing, and that, among other things, I've turned into a short video. And in addition to that, under many of the photos, just over half of them, 6 out of the 10 photos, we were able to record the conversation that the two people had. And then I took those conversations and I cleaned them up and edited them down to about roughly 3 to 5 minutes apiece, so that people could listen to the conversation, or at least some form of the conversation, while they were looking at the photos. So it's actually very sort of relatively modern and new age. If you look at the photo, there's what we call a QR code, which is just like a little sort of square barcode looking thing. And if you have a smartphone, you can get an app that's like a QR code reader. And you can scan that barcode on your phone, and it will bring up a web page that has the audio linked right to it. So if you have a smartphone and you're looking at the exhibit and you want to hear the audio, you can scan the QR code and it will bring up the audio, and you can listen to the conversation while you're looking at the photo. And I think that's really nice because it gives another dimension besides like the two-dimensional one. And it's been really, people said some really powerful things, and it's amazing how I think it helps, again, like you don't just see the humanity in these people and in these conversations, but you really get to hear it, and you really get to, in some way, participate in a whole nother dimension with the photography. And that's been really great. I've really enjoyed working with Liz, and it's been really fun to. Mostly, video work is something that I've done for a long time, and it was really nice to not necessarily have video be a part of what I was doing, but not have it be the focus. It was really more the audio, and it was interesting. And I love storytelling, and I love that concept of hearing stories and sharing stories. And I think to share those stories was really to help people share their stories by putting it on a website. It's now on groundworksvt.org. Mm-hmm. So you can also listen to all the conversations there on GroundworksVT, their website. There's a tab called Conversations. So even if you don't have a smartphone, if you're on a computer, you go to that website and then you click on the tab and you can pull it all right up there. There's also a poem that I recorded audio of, written by a woman who was recently homeless. And then there's also going to be a link to the final video.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So do you know when that final video is going to come up?
The final video will be live by the time people are watching this.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
So maybe we'll even have it somewhere, sneak it in. Now, is there some, what have you learned, Liz, with this, this project? Is there something that surprised you talking to all these people or hearing their conversations?
Yeah, people really want to share their story, and I think people really want to connect. And I think sometimes people just have a hard time doing that. And something that I discovered is that once people, had the chance to connect, that's where the magic happens. Mm-hmm. People are able to, okay, the ice is broken, now they're put together and they can actually talk to each other, So what really was amazing to me is just watching the conversations just kind of blossom. I was done shooting a lot of times, probably after the first few minutes, and people, but of course, I really had gotten what I needed, and I had told everybody when I started photographing their conversation, I'm gonna be shooting, and you guys can keep talking. You don't have to stop, and they didn't. I was done. My camera's down, and everyone's still talking. So it was just really great to see how people were able to connect, and how the connections in many of the cases stayed. This morning at the exhibit, 2 conversation partners saw each other because they had been a week or something since they hadn't seen each other. And it was a big hug, and they were like, hey, how's it going? And they're friends. And they may have never met before. If this project didn't happen, if we didn't put them in the same space. So I guess that's really what's pretty amazing to me about these conversations. I mean, everyone has a story, you know. Everyone has there. You know, there's a lot of sadness, but there's also a lot of joy in these conversations too. It's really all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I really really felt good about was the community support. Everyone that I've talked to about the project has been, you know, really wanting to get involved, like how can I help? And that's exactly what we were hoping for, is that, you know, once we reduce the stigma of homelessness to try to make things better, you know, that's where change can happen. So that's what, you know, that's really happening. It's just great to see that. Like, I feel arms around me, you know, like it's everyone's just so happy about it. I love it.
I agree. I feel like there's a lot of good, like people want to talk to people, but yeah, there's that stigma, you know. It's like, well, why are you homeless? And when you hear these stories, or at least when I heard the story about Mike, you know, it was like, wow, you know, that's something that I would have never thought, you know. And I think this project might inspire some people to come out and maybe talk to the guy that, you know, is always at the corner and you never know their story.
Right.
And it's really fun. I want to tell a story. This is pretty cool. So in Austin, there's this guy who maybe he's like, I want to say 30 at most. Super fit guy. He's a really strong, like, fit guy. And he stands in the corner listening to music, and he just dances to the music and, like, pretends he's rapping, right? And when I first saw him, my sister was like, oh, this is just, you know, this is the guy, he does this. I was like, oh, interesting. That's cool. Like, he just dances. Doesn't ask for money. He just dances, right? And always looks clean, like, always looks really clean. And so I had to come up to him and, like, ask him, like, hey, dude, why do you do this? Like, what is up to you? Like first of all, I have to say you inspire me to do what I love, because it seems like you're really happy. And when I talked to this guy, it was, like, pure happiness. It was like, you know what? This is why I'm doing it. 7 years ago, I was about to commit suicide. I hated my life. And I came to the corner, started dancing, and people started, you know, talking to me, and, like, I started talking to the community, and then I got, you know, interviewed. So all these people that I have nothing in common with, like, I hope that with this gallery, it kind of shuts that stigma of it, because it's really, really nice.
I have a question, actually. Can I ask
Yeah.
them a question? Because I'm curious. At least I'm always personally interested in how others are inspired by other people. And what I'm interested in knowing is a couple of things. Either what's your vision of what would happen to this, and how, and then another level of the question is, how do you hope it might inspire other artists in the region and Windham County? Like, what might you hope that everyone gets out of it, and what might you hope other creatives and makers and artists get out of it here in Vermont?
Well, one thing that has kind of already started is the River Gallery School sponsored a couple of sessions for artists to create art for the community art wall. And the people that attended those sessions there was a sense of pride, and they were inspired. And for the artists themselves, I mean, that's one huge piece. And then the River Gallery School is also very, you know, they share that joy and are inspired by it. And, you know, they're continuing those classes with them. We originally just planned on 2 classes, and they're continuing those to help them, you know, with their art. And so what I would hope to see, I guess, a next level is to get the community involved as far as businesses, and maybe some type of like an apprenticeship program where people, you know, if there's something that they're interested in, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's baking, maybe it's, I don't know what it is. But, you know, it's a chance for people to connect to something, and, you know, that can lead to other things. I mean, going back to the artwork, one of we've sold a painting already. The show's not even open yet, right? The first day the painting is sold. The first painting is the painting that was created at River Gallery School.
Wow.
And that is so amazing to me because it's like, you know, that's the beauty in it. You know, that's the beauty. Someone, she may not have ever walked into that school. That piece would never have been created. You know, it's, so that's what I'm hoping for, that maybe something can be created where people can actually, you know, take part in the community and, you know, kind of move on with that. And actually, I forget the second part of your question.
Oh, no, you actually answered
Okay.
it. Just right. You did, like above and beyond.
Oh, all right.
What about you, Wyatt?
So I think that as an artist in general, or like is like when I think about like what to me makes for good art in some ways is the concept of what you know. We've used the word community like 100 times. If we had a little counter down there, it would be dinging all the time.
Actually, we do.
And community is really important. Community is like really important, and I think that a lot of community has to, like how we connect with people. Like you said, you know, connecting with this guy was about finding common ground, and finding common ground with people that you normally wouldn't find common ground with, and understanding that even though someone is totally different than you still probably have things in common because we both are human beings that have a shared lived experience on some level. And I think that this project in particular, and a lot of projects that I've seen, like one of the reasons I was really excited to work with Liz was actually your guys' Perfect Imperfection exhibit, because I feel like projects like that are about not just like, they create community by not just finding common ground for people, but creating common ground. And so, you know, like Liz said, this idea that like we're bringing people together and we're giving them something to bond over. We're handing them, or we're not handing them. We're I don't even know. We're creating a space where two people from totally different walks of life can walk into a room and share something. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It's as small as a cup of coffee and a conversation. Like, that's all it is. But it creates that common ground and it establishes that community. And I think that it's really inspiring for me as an artist to see how that has a ripple effect and how that is like pushing over a domino, and that in this one project that we've done, this one little thing, in taking people's photographs with, like, if you think about like the literal what we've done, we're taking pictures of people drinking coffee and like recording their conversation. Like, we're not creating some huge installation that's like 50 feet tall and is like, you know, $10,000 and it's like all this, like, it's a very simple, very just, you know, it's a simple concept. But the beauty of it is in that what we're really doing has nothing to do, well, not nothing to do, but has very little to do with taking a photo or recording audio. It has to do with establishing those connections. And I think that is one of the things that art is the best at doing in general. And so when you talk about, like, you know, what inspires me as an artist in general, that is, I think, one of the most important functions that art can serve in any community or in our lives, is to help people create connections over something.
Yeah.
And build common
That's
ground.
beautifully said. That's so
Yeah.
beautifully said.
I agree. Art creates this experience. Like, that's what you really want in art, to create an experience of the observer, of the people that experience it.
And it also involves them and engages them in a certain way, because so I just recently taught a 9-week social justice class at Oak Meadow. And one of the things that came up in the open house that we had, I think a couple of months ago or a month and a half ago, was the concept of art within social justice, as I was talking to a couple of prospective students. And it's projects like this that makes me think, and others that I've seen, whether it's Coffee and Conversations or Perfect Imperfection and all sorts of other things I've seen, where art can be used for social change. Art can be used to inspire, and it definitely, like we've said so many millions of times here, like creating community, but it also can change community as well and change individuals and lives. I'm a believer in that.
Yeah, I agree. I have a question for you. Now, this is a thought that I just had, but as you know, as we are becoming a more technological advanced society, right? All these jobs that used to people have. I just went to Press Shopper the other day. They have new, self scanners, right? So all those people's jobs are like, they're gonna be gone in 10 years. Like a lot of jobs. And do you think we're gonna see like bubble bursts of art form, because now people are just gonna be able to just do art, or like, what do you think that's gonna do something with that? Like, do you think art is gonna be more?
You mean like, will art be more prevalent because of the technological advances that are challenging traditional jobs?
Yes.
Wow, sum that
That's better. That's a better way. I should just have you around. It's like, blah, blah, blah.
Do you want to go back and just like ask exactly what Shanta said? And that way you got it. Like, you're gonna edit this anyway, right? You'll sound real good.
No, I think that's better. I think that's even funnier.
Well, so I always have to put it in words that I understand. So I think that it's very interesting what has been happening with the downturn of the economy over the past several years. What I've been noticing is a trend across the United States in bits and pieces and pockets. There's some of us, myself included, who've said horrible things like, oh, it would be great if the internet just crashed and burned, and then you'll be forced to come out of your hole and go talk to people. Now, that's funny coming from me, who I live online. That's my alternate address. I live online. I live on several websites. But what I've noticed is that people have already been doing that, as people have been losing jobs, as households have been shifting in their dynamic. People have been becoming more creative. There's been more of a creative economy that I've noticed in terms of how people are seeking to survive and connect and create community. So in answering your question, I think it's something that's already begun, partly out of necessity, but also people in the business community and in the business world, there's the whole saying, change or die. Right? If you can't adapt, then most likely your business will die. It's the same now with ourselves and our how we're even marketing and promoting ourselves as individuals and what we have to offer. But it's an opportunity for us to all think about, what do we have that we can bring to the table that is a bit different than what was traditional, like go to school, go to college, and then you go get this thing that looks like a job. Well, in today's economy, it's how many different hats can you wear? How are you adding value as an individual? And I think that's where the opportunity is that you picked up on. That's my answer. I don't know what you guys think.
No, that's good. That's good. I agree. I feel like people are becoming creative, selling their stuff online, doing all kinds of artsy stuff. Now, we live in a town that it's pretty artsy. It's pretty, like tonight, there's going to be hundreds of people in the streets looking at amazing galleries and stuff. What do you see Brattleboro art scene in the next couple of years?
Wow, that's
a
a
very
huge
good question.
That's a huge question. I mean, what I love about this town is that it is so artsy. It has a great vibe. This is the place to be. I don't know. I mean, I would think that it would just become a more vibrant art community. I mean, I can't really see it going away. I mean, people come here for that. But there is going to be a lot tonight. That's why our opening's tomorrow. I mean, I think it's great because there are, a lot of opportunities for people to show their work in town. Other places, things like that don't exist. You have to, try to get into a juried show. You have to do that here too. But I mean, there's a lot more opportunity in this town. So, one of the people from Coffee and Conversation that was in the art class said to me, so what happens after this? What happens after we have our art on the wall. And I said, well, that's up to you. You know, now you've done it, you'll have shown your work. You don't know where it will lead, but you're the one that pushes it forward, you know. So, I mean, I can't see the art scene doing anything else but growing in this town. I don't know. Wyatt, what you might think about?
So I may be the black sheep on this one here, only because I feel like, man, is there a polite way to say this?
Just say it, Wyatt.
Okay, there's like a very specific art scene here in a lot of ways. And this is like, I mean, I'm mostly speaking as a musician here. And I will tell you something. If you are not in a jam band or a bluegrass band, it is pretty damn hard to book a show in this town.
Is that
Like-
true? Is
Or
that
be a
true?
comedian.
It's true. Yeah, like being a comedian, like there
Interesting.
is a lot of, and there I hear a lot of. I think that it's a lot of the art is very much geared towards white, middle-aged, educated people for the most
Whoa.
part. For
That's-
the most part,
that's interesting.
like, you know, like a lot of the art that like you hear about and you see is mostly geared towards people that have like a master's degree, and are, you know, somewhere in there, and that's like our demographic, is that there's a lot of people like that. But when I like, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with like sort of the alternative artsy. The Future Collective is like an arts group that I'm very connected with, and they do not have an easy time like being able to like find places to book their shows. It can be difficult to, and like they're not as like warmly accepted. Like when people talk about the art scene in Brattleboro, I've seen so many like articles in like the Boston Globe and blah, blah, blah about what a vibrant arts community is, and there is nothing on them. And they do so much art in this community, and yet because they are sort of the alternative, like younger generation of sort of anarchists, like all grown up and old punk kind of scene, like it's because it's that scene, no one really talks about them. So because it doesn't fit the paradigm of what maybe sort of the artist community is for the most part here. I mean, obviously there's some exceptions. And I mean, I'm sure there is like, I would say there is a growing community of like people of color that are like doing art in this town. But like when I think about like the art scene in Brattleboro, I do think that there is room for it to grow in other ways and be more. I would hope for more diversity in the art scene here. I would love to see more, you know, like street art being done. I would love to see something closer, more akin to like the Burlington, like Church Street kind of scene, where like street performers are a little bit more like accepted, that sort of thing. I would love to see. I would love to have. I mean, I feel like I don't see as much queer art as I would like. I mean, there's like some queer art and queer artists around, and there's like the Root Social Justice Center, which puts on some really great stuff. But I do think that Brattleboro, Southern Vermont, has an opportunity to grow, and that when we think about that growth, we want to think about not just the current demographic that we have, but rather how can we like bring new things to Vermont, and things like a more like urban art, for example. Like I would love to see a mural that isn't like a painting of like sunsets and whatever, but like I would love to see some straight up graffiti, like a big graffiti mural on like a wall in Brattleboro. And like that's something
fun.
that I think it sounds fun, and like as a younger person, I think I'm like all about it. But if you bring these kinds of things to sort of the more traditional arts crowd in Southern Vermont, that's not what they want. You know, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for like peace and love and like the 1960s kind of era of art and happiness and whatever. And I mean,
No, I want to piggyback to what you're saying, because that is a very interesting and key point. I long said that I wanted to see these buildings painted. I'm tired of looking at the brick, or if something's boarded up, even though I love abandoned places as my main inspiration or my main muse. But I need to see something really funky and really vibrant. I think when I first came to Brattleboro about 6 years ago, I did notice there is a specific it was very different from Connecticut in the sense that you were encouraged to be creative, but there is a pressure almost. Like everyone I met was writing a book. Everybody I met, dancers, but then all the dancers didn't dance together for whatever reason, because they didn't do that. You know, dance wars, or something weird, something very weird. So I guess what I would just piggyback on and speak to is if we want arts to not just thrive in Brattleboro, but throughout the region or throughout the state, there needs to be collaboration, but there also needs to be a way that artists can earn a living. There's a big, I've talked to lots of individuals in this community who've given for free, given their craft and their time and their art, whether they were dancers, whether they were visual artists. That's a big problem in the artistic community, not just here, but abroad, where someone comes to you and they basically want to hook up, or they want, well, you're an artist, so you should just be able to whip something together and not get paid for it. If we take this as seriously, and it's something we prop up and say, oh, we're an artistic town and vibrant, yes, but in order to stay that way, artists and creatives, they need to get paid and recognized, and there needs to be actual, they need to eat. And yes, I agree with Wyatt. There definitely needs to be a diversity. Sadly, someone recently asked me, they said, oh, you know, could you put together an exhibit? Could you oversee X, Y, and Z? And could you think of other artists of color who might be able to take the lead on that? And I'm like, well, the people I collaborate with, they're my vanilla friends. I love them, but I don't really have any specific roster of artists of color specifically in this area. I mean, I know they're there. And speaking to the diversity or wanting to see more of the flavor of, that's what May is about, that we're planning, that the Arts Council is planning, is this celebration. We've even invited a 3D chalker to do 3D chalk art.
Nice.
So we want to hopefully bring more of that vibrancy, but again, diversity and how can they sustain themselves? There have been a lot of conversations by a lot of groups about this. Sustainability in the region. We also need to sustain our treasures, the people who are bringing this artistic vibrancy.
Yeah. And real quick, I wanted to just give a shout out to Liz again, in that I think one of the first things that I saw that Liz did that I was really inspired by and was like, wow, this person's really great, is Liz did a Dapper Boy calendar that actually got a lot of recognition for that. And you've gotten a lot of recognition for your like Dapper Boy photography work. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And that's a really big achievement, and that's like really cool that like you're doing that kind of stuff. And I loved, and there's a lot of people that I knew in that, and it was really great to see some of those people represented in the art scene that I wasn't normally seeing in, like, when I, like, for example, when you get the pamphlet for Gallery Walk. Like that wasn't the kind of stuff that I was used to seeing. I was used to seeing like blown glass by like such and such middle-aged lady, like paintings by like 60-year-old, like, or like ironwork sculptures by like 65-year-old retired white guy kind of thing.
Right. Which is not bad.
No, nothing wrong with that.
We would like to see more diversity.
Yeah, more diversity. Yeah, no.
Right. Well, that was actually, you know, looking back, that was actually the first step that I took in doing photography for social change, because it was a similar thing where people who look like me, for example, don't always fit in everywhere, and people really have a lot of question marks in their brain when they see me, and I have a lot of friends that look like me, and you know, it's a section of the population that is invisible, like someone who may not have housing, like someone who may be carrying, you know, lots of baggage with them, you know, different things that they might be going through. People, you know, it's like I feel like I'm focusing on sections of the population that are invisible, and I want to bring them out so people can see and get used to it and kind of get over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bring them out of the shadows.
Yeah. So I actually do shoot for Dapper Q, so I do continue that work. And that's been great. It's been great to do that. So maybe there'll be another dapper calendar. None of my projects are ever finished. You know what I mean? They're kind of ongoing.
I know. That's like the artists, right? Not enough
love
money
that.
or not enough time.
Yeah,
All
right.
right, so I wanna ask you, all of you, a question. So you say it at the least amount of words that you can. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, I know we're over time.
Well,
now.
we're over
Okay,
the
so
30
it's
minutes
okay.
that we wanted to do, which
Yeah,
is
okay,
okay.
okay.
Yeah. So this is gonna be the wrap it up of question. Why is art important?
Art is
answer.
survival because I grew up in a very dysfunctional home, very dysfunctional, highly abusive home. Writing literally was my only outlet. I've been writing for over 25 years. It started with a pen. And I fell in love with images because images helped to kidnap me out of my current reality, living at home. Art can save lives. I know that sounds cliche and cheesy, but it helps me to live. It feeds my soul.
Liz?
For me, art can be, it's like therapy, not specifically for me, but for people that I'm shooting with. And, art can change lives. That's what it is to me.
Andrew?
I was an anthropology guy in college, so I think my answer is very literal in some senses. Art is important because it is a basic function of humanity. It is inescapable. I don't think humans will ever exist without art because it is a basic part of how we interpret and function within the world and this thing that we have created as humans called society. It's glue that binds us all together.
Beautiful. I love all those answers. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope to see all of you guys back again. Hope to have an awesome time tomorrow. It's going to be in the past for you because it's probably going to air next week. But check it out. The gallery is going to be up to when? The gallery is going to be at the Rivergarden?
The month of December.
All month of December.
Yeah.
Check it out. I'm going to be in it too. Just going to Shanta is the new president, like I said. And again, thank you of the Art Council. And this show is going to continue on having way more artists and maybe performers and all kinds of stuff. So this is the first one, like just a little taste of what this show is going to be about. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you around.